Hello and welcome to Midday Report here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Cato. 4 of the people detained in Poland on suspicion of sabotage were spying on military infrastructure in Poland, said Jacek Dobrzyński, the spokesperson for the Polish Security Services coordinator. At a special press conference, the official also said that 1 person was arrested in the Pomerania region in relation to arson attacks. Dobrzyński added that over the past few months, Internal Security Agency officers have detained more than 50 people recruited by Russian intelligence. Some of them sent dangerous parcels with explosive from Poland to Ukraine, which were intercepted in Poland and Romania.
We have 2 people who were recently detained by the Internal Security Agency in Biała Podlaska. The case involves spying on military infrastructure. We have 2 people detained in the Silesian region, specifically in Katowice, also in connection with military infrastructure. And we have 1 person detained in connection with arson in the Pomeranian region.
Poland and Sweden are boosting their defense cooperation. In the past months, this alliance has expanded rapidly, and the governments of the 2 countries now want even closer economic and military ties. Our reporter Ovidiusz Nicieja reports from the Polish-Swedish Defense Industry Forum.
Warsaw and Stockholm want to boost their defense cooperation. On Monday in Warsaw, the Polish-Swedish Defense Industry Forum took place. It started with the signing of a memorandum where Poland and Sweden declared their willingness to continue and even boost their cooperation in the future. There were representatives of the Polish and Swedish defense industries here. There was a display of military equipment to perhaps invite new defense contracts, and the Polish and Swedish government delegations led by defense ministers Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz from Poland and Paul Jonsson from Sweden, who both declared that they really want to boost and strengthen ties between Poland and Sweden.
When we stand together, whether we are in Warsaw, Stockholm, Brussels or anywhere, Poland and Sweden are key partners for each other. We are friends, allies on whom other countries can rely, but first and foremost, we can rely on each other.
There's no other country that has so much completed our relationship with another country since we joined NATO as it is with the Swedish-Polish relationship. I think it's really remarkable since we joined the world's strongest alliance 18 months ago. And as you said, we have a strong unity of purpose and a common reading when it comes to keeping the alliance strong, keeping the northern flank of NATO strong. We see eye to eye on the threat that Russia exposed, and we have a unity of purpose also in supporting Ukraine.
Poland and Sweden are separated by the Baltic Sea. There is this geographic proximity, but a pivotal moment for this friendship, this cooperation, was the Russian invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. It was then that Sweden applied for membership in NATO. Soon afterward, it was welcomed into the alliance, and that's when the ties between Poland and Stockholm strengthened, when this cooperation really took off. Now we have procurement of equipment, defense contracts, common drills, and much more. And of course, there is an appetite both in Stockholm and in Warsaw to continue and to strengthen this cooperation and to take it to the next level. From Warsaw for TVP World, Ovidiusz Nicieja.
European leaders and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Tuesday they support U.S. President Donald Trump's position that the current line of contact should be the starting point for peace negotiations with Russia. The announcement comes days before Europe's heads of state will meet in Brussels for a meeting aimed at bolstering support for Kyiv. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has more from Brussels.
10 prime ministers, presidents and heads of EU institutions have signed and published a letter early Tuesday morning showing their support for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy as he attempts to navigate these wafer-thin turbulent ceasefire efforts being spearheaded by US President Donald Trump. The letter most importantly states that these European leaders, as well as the Ukrainian president himself, support the notion that the negotiations with Russian President Vladimir Putin could start with the jumping off point being that the battle freezes on the lines where it is now. We know most of the conflict in Ukraine is centered around the country's east, from the north in Sumy to the south in Kherson. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has repeatedly stated that he does not want to cede any territory to Russia. This is why the letter states that this would only be a jumping off point. The idea comes from the US President following a meeting on Friday with his Ukrainian counterpart, as well as a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, in which the US President revealed that in roughly 2 weeks' time he will hopefully meet face-to-face with Putin in Budapest. This is exactly why those European allies are coming out with their own show of support for Zelenskyy if any talks are to occur in the future between him and Trump and him and Putin. The dialogue does not end here. However, those various European heads of states, as well as Zelenskyy, will meet in Brussels on Thursday to continue the dialogue. We're hoping for the final tick of approval for the 19th sanctions package against Russia, as well as inching forward closer to the realisation of a 140 billion euro reparations loan given to Ukraine to shift the dial on the battlefield against Russia. If all of this fails, the coalition of the willing allies will meet on Friday in London to discuss security guarantees if the war ends. There's lots of ifs, lots of speculation right now. We're hoping that something can actually be delivered for the Ukrainian president, and this will hopefully end the bloodshed. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
Cities across Ukraine were targeted by Russian air attacks overnight, which wounded several people and damaged energy infrastructure. Officials in Kyiv reported that guided aerial bombs damaged at least 15 homes, according to the Kyiv Post. Authorities say 9 people were wounded in the overnight strikes. In Chernihiv, in northern Ukraine, much of the city was left without power or water after Russian drones hit key supply facilities. Local media also report that parts of the Kyiv region suffered power blackouts in the wake of Russian missile and drone attacks on Monday evening. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has begun serving his 5-year sentence for criminal conspiracy. He is the first former head of an EU country to serve time in prison and the first French post-war leader to be jailed.
Sarkozy, a right-wing politician who served as French president between 2007 and 2012, was sentenced over a scheme to obtain election funds from the regime of the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. He maintained his innocence in his final social media address to all French citizens before entering the La Santé prison.
I want to tell them with all my unwavering strength that this is not a former president of the Republic who is being locked up this morning, but an innocent man.
But according to experts, jailing convicted politicians is exactly what the French public wants to see.
People would like to have more justice. What we can hear in the media, but also in the public, each time this affair happens, is that we don't want to have impunity. We would like that people who are condemned actually go to jail.
And the conditions he will serve his sentence in are already widely discussed.
Mr. Sarkozy will be jailed in isolation for security reasons, like you reminded. It will be, though, quite a humble setting, approximately 10 meters square.
Sarkozy has already appealed his sentence, and he may not have to wait for the final verdict in prison.
It's still possible, considering the age of Mr. Sarkozy, that in 2 months the judge pronounced an exit of the prison while waiting for the definitive trial for the appeal.
His lawyers remain hopeful.
We are confident because the reasons for his imprisonment are quite simply illegal. Now a hearing must be scheduled, probably not for another 3 weeks or a month. Then the Court of Appeal will render its decision, and we hope that it will take note and draw conclusions from our request, and that he will be released very quickly.
Crowds of supporters gathered as Sarkozy left his residence to be transported to the prison.
It's quite normal for right-wing voters who feel a little orphaned to say to themselves, the last champion who won for us is here, and we're putting him in prison. Beyond the case or the legal aspects, there is an emotional and sentimental side to it.
A recent poll carried out by French canvasser El Abbé says that 6 out of 10 people in France believe Sarkozy's prison sentence to be fair.
The Polish government plans to save JSW, the biggest European producer of coking coal, a commodity crucial for steelmaking, making it also critical for defense production. JSW has been suffering from low prices of the commodity, but the government argues it needs restructuring.
This is JSW, the biggest producer of coking coal in Europe. But even though it's the biggest, it doesn't mean it's the strongest. And that's why the Polish government wants to lend it a hand already extended to other mining companies.
Given the financial difficulties experienced by coking coal mining companies in Poland, by which I mean JSW, we want to extend the support mechanism to cover it as well. Our goal, however, is not to close the company down, but restructure it, including layoffs.
JSW has been in the red for 6 consecutive quarters, with the company incurring an operating loss of about 0.5 billion euros in the first half of this year. The company blames global conditions for that, with coking coal prices falling by a quarter since 2024. By including the company in the mining sector support scheme, the government is essentially equipping JSW with a cushion made from taxpayer money, a cushion that will soften the blow of staff reductions.
We'll do everything in our power to save this company, or at least a significant portion of it.
But there's another factor: defense. As Poland ramps up defense spending to almost 5% of its GDP, the country wants as much of this money to flow to local companies. And defense means steel, and steel means coking coal.
No one needs convincing as to how important JSW is, not only due to the company's headcount, but also due to the important role it can still play for the Polish economy, Polish industry, and potentially for Polish defense.
Coking coal has been included on the EU's critical materials list.
A US pianist has won this year's prestigious 19th International Frédéric Chopin piano competition in Warsaw. Eric Liu, who will take a gold medal home and a prize of 60,000 euros, described the win as a dream come true.
Contestants from 7 countries competed for the honours in the 19th International Frédéric Chopin piano competition in Warsaw. In the end, American pianist Eric Liu won the top prize at the prestigious event.
I'm so grateful for this honour. I'm grateful for all the Chopin lovers around the world who watched online and all the audience here in Warsaw. I'm grateful for the jury to bestow me this honor, and this is a dream come true, of course.
Considered one of the most prestigious piano competitions in the world, it's open to pianists under 30 years old. One of this year's contestants spoke to TVP World about the competition's jury.
I think they are looking for the true Chopinist who can really express emotions of Chopin, who can really tell the story throughout the music of Chopin, and that was the point that I was focused on during my preparation for this competition.
Canadian Kevin Chen bagged the silver medal, while Chinese pianist Zitong Wang was awarded 3rd place in the event. Piotr Alexievich, the only Pole to reach the competition's finals this year, finished joint 5th alongside Vincent Ong of Malaysia. Hyuk Lee said the Chopin event stands out among international competitions.
We are all here to show our love, our passion for Frédéric Chopin. So I would say that's the biggest difference that makes Chopin competition so special.
The 27-year-old winner, Eric Liu, is set to perform a concert after an awards gala later on Tuesday.
And that wraps up Midday Report. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.